Can you hear me, Jordan? Well, hello and welcome, Power Partners. This is our informational playground. It's Starstyle, Be the Star You Are. Coming to the airwaves under the auspices of Be the Star You Are charity. I am your host, Cynthia Brian, and we are on Voice America Media. This is the Empowerment Channel. We have a really exciting show for you today, and we're so excited that you are here with us. Coming right up in segment one, I'm going to be interviewing Lita Kurth about her book, Writing Memoir in Flashes. It's going to help you tell your true stories. Gosh, where's my voice today? Whether you're a memoirist, a family historian, or an author who needs to write about yourself, this is a terrific book and it's going to help you, get jump started and find the heart of your story and connect your piece with your audience. And then in segment two, it's going to be all about June gardening. And beautiful blooms are everywhere. It's almost summer, so it's time to enjoy our landscapes, our patios, and our barbecues. So that's what we're going to be doing in segment two. The miracle moment for today brought to you by Be the Star You Are. You can visit Be the Star You Are charity at bethestaryouare.org. Is from Steven Spielberg. Conscience shouts, here's what you should do. Intuition whispers, here's what you could do. I love it. What do you think? Well,
I
now
like
we're we're going to go right into writing memoir in flashes. I want to introduce you to the author Lita Kurth. Hello, Lita, and welcome to Star Style. Be the star you are.
Hello, delighted to be here.
Well, thank you so much. I want to start by telling our audience just a little bit about you because have co founded the spoken word venue Flash Fiction Forum in
Mm,
San Jose, California. And
Yes.
you also are a teacher of creative writing and other writing workshops. And what I really loved, I like your preface, the very first paragraph. It grabbed me right away this letter to the reader writer, and you said to relive, to relate, to realize, to hold again a fleeting moment, to share the laughter, the beauty, the pain of a day that is no more, to expose a wound for healing, to make known what has been hidden, sometimes from ourselves. And then it goes on. And then, of course, what you end it with is, and all of this can be accomplished in short form. So well, I loved it because that just really it grabbed me that I wanted to read more right away. So the first question that I'd like to ask you is, uh, what does writing in flashes actually mean to you, and how do you explain that to your students?
Well, I'm accustomed to doing flash fiction, which is fiction between, it could be as few as 6 words, but it usually ends at 1,000. So trying to get a whole story in a page or 2 pages, that's a flash. But you could write your memoir even in paragraphs. Um, and there are many different ways to arrange those short pieces, delightful ways. If you think about it, if someone says to you, let's see, your great aunt says, I just wrote my memoir. Here it is, the 500 pages. Are you are you going to read it?
No. No, 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 no. But probably it wouldn't be very entertaining. Speaking of doing this flashes, though, when you talk about the structures and techniques, you talk about the briefest of flashes, which is a new form called decaz.
Yeah.
That was so fascinating to me. So that is what is that 6 words to four? No, it's just short, right?
Yeah, it's almost like a haiku.
Haiku.
It's
Uh-huh.
a couple syllables different from a haiku. But I encountered that on a Substack, and I thought it was so interesting, and the person made it up, and she said that it always needs to be spoken aloud. So I
Because I had never heard of it before. So when I saw that, it was like, that is very interesting, you know.
mhm.
But can you actually do you think you can actually do a memoir in those few words?
I think you can capture maybe the taste of something or the sound of something, but no, you couldn't get very much. It would be a hint.
Yes, yes. Well, the next one that in that particular chapter that you were talking about was the counting, the counting of my life or whatever
Oh,
that one was.
yes.
That one, I really liked that a lot. And I thought you could definitely get some very interesting memoir in doing something like that. Did you like that?
I loved it. I've had so many terrific ones from my students, and it's just another way to look at real life, another way to look at memories. And the thing is, it's so cute and fun. You can imagine handing that to someone and they would want to read it.
Right. I wanted to read it as soon as that's exactly right. I think that was the key to that. Well, let's go backwards because I'm sorry I skipped ahead in your book. And I like the fact that your book is short and sweet and
Yeah.
to the point, and it gives lots and lots of information. And for those just joining us, the book is Writing Memoir in Flashes: Creative Ways to Tell Your True Stories, One Memory at a Time. So, why don't we define, or have you define, since you're the expert, what actually is memoir?
Well, memoir is any aspect of your life that you want to, I mean, I think it is not really autobiography, which people think of, oh, it begins with your birth and it ends with wherever you stopped writing.
But that's
But
boring. That's very boring,
yes,
right?
indeed. But memoir can be many things. You can look at different themes in your life. There are lots of people like Mary Carr, who has written at least four memoirs, and each one is about a different aspect of her life, like lying, I think alcoholism, sexuality. We can look at through all the because life is so enormous. That's the daunting thing. People think, "Oh my God, how am I going to write a memoir?" But if you take just a piece, just a little piece at a time, you can have this fabulous collection, and people can read a bit here, a bit there. It's not necessarily in order. So I think that's the kind of thing that if you leave it to your grandkids, they might actually read it.
Well, and one thing I think that's important to know about memoir is that we all have one. I mean,
Mhm.
everybody, people say, "Oh, I could never write a book." Well, but you could write a memoir
Mhm.
because the way you describe it in your writing memoir and flashes, there's many different ways to put it together. Like the meta commentary, that was another interesting way to do something. I liked the way you started is let me tell you what I don't know. And I was thinking about that and how many things I don't know, you know.
Yes, and then that can become a whole list. It can become
Right.
another way you tell your story by the negative space. I love meta commentary. When I saw it in Stephen, I think I mentioned the author's essay, I thought, oh, I'm going to steal that. Because when you get stuck, you can use one of those meta commentaries to get you started again.
Well, and that's what I also think is important for people to know if they're picking up writing memoir and flashes, that you give lots and lots of prompts.
Hmm.
So on every page you have like, well, now you try it, now you try it, now you try it. So you can write lists, you can telescope to microscope kind of things,
But
and
okay.
go ahead.
I think what sets this book apart and what I'm so happy with is that I was able to use samples. When I teach, I always use samples. There are a
Mhm.
million books of prompts, But if you don't know what you could do with it, it's not as useful as if you, in my opinion, if you see a sample, it's like, oh, here's what someone else did. Ah, I see how to do that.
Well, and you have used many of your students and many of other authors that you like, and you credit them of what is in there, including you talk about even starting with poetry, using poetry as a starting point.
Hmm. That's how I became a memoir and fiction writer. I began with poetry, and I noticed over time that a lot of my poems were narrative. And I was really afraid of fiction because story structure and plot are so scary to me. But I found my way through and I've published stories. So,
And you've published, well, yes, you also published one creative writing prompt, right? That's the other book, the
yes,
what
that's right.
writing prompt a day, right?
That one's
Yes.
more for fiction writers. But yes, that was my book. That was last year's book.
Yeah, well, see, that's great. Are you trying to do, or are you doing a book a year then? Is that the goal?
Well, it just so happened that way. But I'm kind of thinking about what's next. Maybe a collection of memoir pieces, a collection of flash fiction. I'll have to see.
Do you feel that you have reached success now? How do you feel?
Well, for me, success is when my work has moved or helped another person.
I agree. That is exactly right. And
And it,
and
mi-
I
yeah,
always tell people that too when they talk to me about being an author. I'm like, everybody has a story. So just put pen to paper, and you don't even have to publish it if you don't
yeah,
want to. But you can share it, or you can put it on social media, or you can get a Substack, or you can just print it out and give it to family or friends that you think might enjoy it. Write
yeah.
it in a card, right? There's a lot of different ways, a lot of different ways. You had said that one of the questions that you found important is community. So
Mm.
why is community important? You talk a lot about groups, and finding other writer groups, etc. Why do you find this really critical to the writer's life?
Well, when people are starting out, they often think the only sign of success is if you've been published. And it takes a while to get published. And sometimes you get rejected and rejected. Once, after I'd had, oh, I don't know, many dozens of things published, I had an entire year when everything I submitted was rejected.
That's part of the game.
What the hell is going on? But what kept me going was I have a writers community. I have a monthly writers group, I have a biweekly writers group, I have a group where we just set aside time on Zoom and write together for a while. And then sometimes I'll have an exchange with other writers. And then I have this wonderful, intimate Friday morning class where I give prompts and the students write them and then they share them. And that keeps me going too. Uh, the
And
whole,
what about the importance? Because I think these are helpful too, of going to conferences or literary residencies, because there's lots of those kinds of things out there that are
oh,
available as
yes.
well.
I think a conference is a wonderful way to connect with other writers. That can be a really good way to get a writers group. Um, and also, it opens up the world to writers that are fantastic that you might not have heard of because there are so many wonderful writers in the world.
And yeah, and
Yeah,
more every day. Well, we're
yeah.
winding down here, and I want to give out. You have a Facebook. You're also on Blue Sky, and you have a Creator School online class. But your Facebook is Lita Kurth Writing Workshops.
Hmm.
And would you like to just sum up how you would like to other people to know about your book, Writing Memoir in Flashes?
Sure. If you Google my name and memoir or writing memoir, it will surely come up. Um, but it's also Thinking Ink Press is the wonderful small press that published it. I had such a wonderful time with them.
I'm
Um,
so glad. I'm so glad. They're very lovely people. And I
yes,
want to spell your name for people. Lita Kurth is Lita. That's the first name, and the last name is Kurth. The name of the book to help you become a creative writer is Writing Memoir in Flashes. And also know that she has done one creative writing prompt a day. That's mostly for fiction, or short memoir. So, Lita, thank you so much for coming on Star Style Be the Star You Are to share your expertise.
thank you for having me, Cynthia.
It's been a pleasure. Well, we'll be back in just a moment and we're going to go into the garden for all the June blooms. Stay with me. You're listening to Cynthia Brian. This is Star Style Be the Star You Are, coming to you on Voice America Media. This is the Empowerment Channel. Stay with us. Working longer hours and working harder does not spell success. You need to work with maximum effectiveness in order to be successful. When your personal and business life are in balance, you experience less conflict and definitely less stress. This balance allows you to become more effective and get more work done in less time. Plan your work and work your plan. And when you love what you do, there's nothing hard about your career. If you find yourself working too long or too hard, get more organized, delegate the details, yet don't procrastinate. Remember, you're the star of your own performance. Turn your passions into profits. I'm Cynthia Brian with another business bite from Starstyle. For more information, visit Cynthia Brian, Brian with an I.com. Well, we are back and we're in the garden for June blooms. Thank you so much for hanging in there. I hope that you will write a memoir and pick up a copy of Writing Memoir in Flashes, because it's a very simple book that'll give you lots and lots of tips on how to just write whatever is happening in your life in little bits. Well, Emerson said, "What is a weed? It's a flower whose virtues have not yet been discovered." And because of the late season rains, oh my gosh, the weeds on my little mini farm here have been overwhelming. I have been pulling, cutting, smothering, eliminating, in quotes, these flowers whose virtues have not yet been discovered since early March. And I'm now on my third round of weeding. I'm hoping by next week I will have finished. I might have to do another round because uh, they just keep sprouting. But yes, many of the weeds have really pretty flowers, including vetch and bindweed, cutleaf geranium, the Italian thistle, euphorbia, hemlock, and a plethora of grasses. In fact, the bindweed looks a lot like morning glory. I even have a striped pink and white one. I pull it out, but when I pull it, it just kind of grows thicker. So sometimes, I just decide, oh, I'm going to just look at the morning glories. My dandelions are abundant, and I actually like them because I use the leaves for salads, and the flowers, I feed them to the birds. The much desired blooms are ample. Now, my hill is blanketed in a sea of blue nigella, orange and yellow nasturtiums, and California poppies. So it's really very pretty. I have clematis and nigella flanking stairways. The roses are probably more spectacular this year than in a very long time, and I see them in everyone's garden. So they're beautiful in all landscapes. My deep oriental lilies, they are just now fading, but they were just gorgeous for the last month, and I cut them and they make really long life cut flowers. And one of the most beautiful or colorful specimens that you might see in gardens right now are those fluorescent yellow and pink lantana. Lantana is a heat loving, deer resistant shrub, and it thrives in the California climate, and it thrives in a lot of other places where it is dry too. Now, here's what else is blooming in my garden as well as in local neighborhoods. So check to see what's blooming in yours. I have petunias and magnolias and ice plant and California lilac, lavender, sunflowers, zinnias, hydrangea, marigold, peonies, dahlia, echinacea, snapdragons, allium, Mexican sage, cosmos, honeysuckle, birds of paradise, morning glory, sword lily, bee balm, penstemon, red hot poker, St. John's wort, canna, larkspur, calendula, chamomile, snapdragon, feverview, bachelor button, Queen Anne's lace, Shasta daisy, status, gladiola, iris. And that's just a little bit of the joyous June blooms. And there are a lot of succulents too. Some of my succulents, of which I don't even know the names of, they've had some beautiful blooms, these really kind of extravagant blooms. So if you're looking for things that are blooming right now and that will bloom in the summer, go to your favorite nursery or garden center. And most of the things, even if they're annuals, they will thrive throughout the summer into the fall. And then you'll have this flush of blush for months. Now, also, I got to talk about the gloom in June in my garden, and that has been the loss of fruit on my trees, especially stone fruit. Now, I think it's because of the heavy rains, the strong winds. We had hot weather, then we had cold weather, then we had rain, and then we had winds. And so I think the blossoms on my fruit trees were destroyed and the pollinators couldn't do their work. So the result is I don't have stone fruit. I don't have apricots and peaches. I didn't have a single cherry, and usually I'm full. I have no Meyer lemons, and usually I have them year round. But I do have loquats and tangerines, limes, and a few plums, and they are stone fruit, but not that many. My tomato vines are tall and they're filled with yellow blossoms that are soon drop. They'll be replaced by these tiny growing little green tomatoes, and I already have some tiny green ones. So I can't wait for probably another month and I'll have some tomatoes. My other vegetables and herbs are already providing nourishment, although my eggplants are kind of puny, so I'm not so happy about that. Now, my grapevines are looking fantastic, and hopefully, I'll have a lot of grapes, a good harvest this year. But I do want to give an alert, speaking of grapevines, because if you happen to buy a grapevine from Costco between April 21st and May 19th, definitely check with your local Costco because many of the vines have included a very invasive insect called the glassy winged sharpshooter. And these dangerous insects spread this bacterium. It causes a fatal grapevine disease called Pierce's disease, but it doesn't only damage vineyards and grapevines, it also does citrus and others. Costco is issuing refunds. However, you have to isolate the plant and you have to contact your county agricultural commission. Um, do not plant it. If you've already planted it, you want to dig it up and you want to double bag it in a garbage bag. Do not put it in your green bin or your garbage. And again, contact your agricultural commission. They will actually come. They'll check it out. They will take it away for disposal, and they'll check your garden to see if it's anywhere because this is very invasive. And it's very damaging. Now, my Goddess Gardener guide for June, I have just a few things I want to tell you. So, if you have Cymbidium orchids, this is a really good time to repot them. This is you can divide and share them with friends and family. Add a snake plant or a broadsword fern or a peace lily or a rubber plant to your indoor living space because these are natural air purifying machines, I call them. Fence areas visited by marauding deer because although fuzzy and poisonous plants tend to be deer resistant, nothing is deer proof except for a fence. If you are want to plant cucumbers, beans, melons, or other climbers, you can make a teepee by inserting 3 or 4 8-foot bamboo poles straight into the ground, and then they'll climb up them. As I've said, I'm continuing to weed, and as you water, you will have to continue to weed too. So just keep weeding. Research the growing habits of trees you like. Stake your gladiolas before they topple. If you have wooden patio furniture, you can refresh it with a splash of colorful paint, or if it's teak, just give it a really good cleaning. I like to swing in a hammock when it gets so hot. It's really hot today. While reading a good book, you might want to do that too. Cut out any dead wood from privets, boxwoods, holly, and other hedges. If you are working in your vegetable garden, you might want to put on your overalls, because I think that it is, it's better to sow a lot of seeds, and but have your overalls on so you can, you don't get stickers in you everywhere. Now, if you are lucky enough to have fruit on your trees, thin them when they're the size of a penny. Otherwise, you'll have overly populated trees, and the branches might even break. It's coming up. Father's Day will be at the end of the month, so you might surprise your dad with a gardening tool. Keep the receipt in case he wants to exchange it. Celebrate the summer solstice. It's coming up on June 21st, and it's kind of fun if you want to include neighbors like in a midweek cookout. But most of all, enjoy the June blooms in your garden and think about what you want to plant for next June, because you can plant next spring to get things growing in your garden. Well, that is our show for today. Thanks for being tuned in to Star Style, Be the Star You Are, with me, Cynthia Brian. You can change your life. You can make your dreams come true. And since we had Lita on our show today, you can also write memoir, her book, Writing Memoir in Flashes. For more information about Star Style Productions or to purchase any of my books, please visit cynthiabrian.com. If you're interested in making a donation to Be the Star You Are literacy charity that empowers women, families, and youth, please visit bethestaryouare.org. My aim is always to encourage, inspire, inform, amuse, and motivate. We want you to see beyond your physical being, know you are already the star you dreamed of becoming, cherish the past, dream of the future, and celebrate every moment of your life. And until next week, when we play again here in Cynthia's Barnyard or Stella Bella's Barnyard Adventures, remember that love always wins, kindness always prevails, and smiles keep us happy. I'm Cynthia Brian for Star Style, thanking you and encouraging you to be kind, be inclusive, live with integrity, tell the truth, embrace cultures, love unconditionally, encourage others, be generous, read, lead, succeed, communicate, collaborate, innovate, and be your unapologetically authentic self, because everyone counts. Until next week, go out into the world, be the star you are, and shine on.